Today, everybody, in this video, I'm going to walk you guys through how to use an amp sim. I've been doing YouTube for 6.5 years at the time of this filming, and I've been using an amp sim almost every single day. And anytime I do any sort of video dedicated to an amp sim, a lot of questions roll in from you guys asking, hey, I'm new to this game, I'm new to the amp sim world, how do I do it? So this video is for you guys, and for anybody who's a little bit confused, this is how I and a lot of people go through the process of how to use an amp sim. Let's dive on in. All I ask is that you guys like this video if you find it educational and informational, and please subscribe before you head on out the door, all right? So before we start playing, there's some gear that we need, okay? And no matter what your budget is, no matter how big or how small, you can get a great guitar sound no matter what your price range is. With that being said, let's cover some bases here and let's talk about the gear we're gonna need. First and foremost, a guitar. We want our guitar to be properly set up, intonated, and with some brand new strings. A computer, a guitar cable, an audio interface. This piece of equipment here takes your guitar signal from your guitar cable, you plug it into this piece of equipment, and then it transforms your signal from the analog, aka the real world, and turns it into a digital signal. And last but not least, we need a way to monitor ourselves, a way to hear ourselves. So you can either use some headphones, your computer speakers, or you can invest in some studio monitors. And two pieces of bonus gear that I find incredibly beneficial. They're not mandatory, but if you want the cleanest guitar signal possible, I highly recommend you guys invest in some DI boxes. This piece of equipment captures your guitar signal and prevents any sort of outside interference from getting into, we'll say, your guitar signal. Keeps it clean, more or less. There's two types, active and passive. One requires what's called phantom power on your audio interface, and the other one does not. A nice rule of thumb with DI boxes, a passive DI box is good for active pickups because we already have an active circuit in our guitar, and an active DI box is good for, you guessed it, passive pickups. And one other piece of cable you need is a little XLR cable for your DI box to go into your interface. Okay, we're almost done with the setup here. We need two additional pieces of software. The main one is your digital audio workstation, DAW or DAW for short. A DAW is the program on your computer that listens to the signal coming through your interface, and therefore it captures it, and then you can ultimately record a song, record an album, do any sort of project in your DAW. So anytime you hear somebody say DAW, that's what we're talking about, okay? I personally use Logic Pro X and I have been using it for 6 years, but I started out in GarageBand. But regardless of what you want to use, there's a lot out there. So you got Reaper, Pro Tools, FL Studio, etc. And the last piece of software you probably will need is a program called iLok. iLok basically is a program, a third-party program that's free to download, but basically it's to protect the amp sim company's product so people don't steal it. It's free to sign up, like I said, and I'm only bringing up iLok because, like I said, most companies use it, and out of all the questions I get from you guys and from you newer, amp sim players, a lot of people get tripped on the iLok process, okay? To make sure we're set up for success in using our amp sim, when you purchase your amp sim from whichever company you want to use, make sure you download it and install it onto your computer. Now, let's start making some noise. So we're going to take our guitar, like I said, with some fresh set of strings, completely set up and intonated and ready to go. We're going to take our guitar cable and we're going to plug it into our guitar, and then we're going to take the other end of the guitar cable and plug it into our DI box. Then we're going to go to the back of the DI box, we're going to plug our XLR cable into that, and then we're going to take the other end of the XLR cable and plug it into our interface. You then plug your audio interface into your computer. Next, let's talk about how we're going to monitor ourselves. Like I said before, it's either headphones, studio monitors, or your computer speakers. I've used literally all three in my career, and they all have varying results, but results nonetheless. For studio monitors, you're going to plug it into the back of your interface. For headphones, you're going to plug your headphones right into the monitoring section of your interface. You may need an additional 1/4-inch adapter for your 1/8-inch headphones, but that might come with the actual headphones, so just be on the lookout for that when you purchase it. And for just hearing your guitar signal on your computer speakers, all you have to do is make sure your DAW has your computer speakers set up as the overall output. Now, let's make sure we get sound through our digital audio workstation. We're going to open up our DAW. We're going to then go into the preference section. We're going to make sure our audio interface is our selected input and our preferred output and or monitoring source is chosen as well. For me, I'm using studio monitors, so they're running through my audio interface, so my output is my Focusrite interface. A side note for me personally, I've since upgraded my audio interface to a Focusrite 8 Clara Pre. I started my career off with this little interface right here, and we're like almost 7 years into using this thing, and it works flawlessly still. So now everything should be set up. What we need to do next is create a track in our DAW and find our amp sim that we want to use. So we create a track and select the correct input on our interface on our track, and then we go down to the drop down menu on effects and find our amp sim. For today's video, I'm using the Audio 1111. I'll put a link down below in the description if you want to go check it out. For metal players, in my opinion, it's the heaviest one out there. Now let's check our guitar and let's get a good healthy signal. Looking at your interface, you do not want to be in the red. When you play your guitar, you don't want to see red. That is called clipping. Basically, you have too much signal going into your interface and you're going to create distortion and unwanted bad noise, bad distortion. We're metal players and rock players and guitar players alike, and distortion is good at times, but not right now. We want a nice, clean, healthy signal. Best way to check your signal is do some palm mutes, do some chugs, because that is the most energy your guitar can create. This is personal preference. Some people like to have it just before clipping, some people like to have it in the middle, and some people like to have a really weak signal. I sit kind of in the middle. I used to have it where it was just about to clip and then back it off a little bit, but now I realize that I've been doing this for quite some time. My own personal style and preference is to have it just right in the middle, a nice middle of the road healthy signal, okay? Make sure you engage the monitoring button on your track. This is important so you can hear yourself, and then you should be good to go and ready to make some noise. That's how you use an amp sim. I hope this all made sense. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down below in the comment section of this video, and I'll do my very best to answer and help you all, okay? The purpose of this video is to educate and just inform all you guys that are new to this game, or just, wanted to hear somebody else's perspective on how they work an amp sim, all the above, okay? So with that being said, be sure to subscribe on your way out the door. Thank you guys so much in advance. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Later.